Space and Astronomy. Solar System. What is the solar system? Solar means of the sun. The solar system is centered around the sun, the shining ball in the sky. It includes the family of 9 planets orbiting the sun, as well as the moons of these planets, and smaller objects such as comets, asteroids, and bits of space rock. The powerful pull of an invisible force called gravity from the sun stops these bodies from flying off into the deepest space. Is it true? All planets have one moon. No, our planet Earth has one moon called the Moon, but many of the planets have more than one. Our neighbor Mars, for instance, has 2. Only the 2 planets closest to the Sun, Mercury and Venus, have no moons at all. Do other planets have rings? Saturn is not the only planet with rings. Saturn's rings are the easiest to see, but Jupiter, Neptune and Uranus have them too. Saturn has 7 main rings called ringlets. How hot is the Sun? In deserts here on Earth, heat that has traveled 150 million kilometers from the Sun can be hot enough to fry an egg. The Sun's surface is a super hot 6000 Celsius and its center or core is even hotter. Do you know that the Sun is a star? The Sun is a star, yes, a gigantic ball of burning gas. It has been shining for about 5 billion years. Why must you never look at the Sun? Not even sunglasses fully protect your eyes from the Sun's dangerous ultraviolet UV rays. UV can burn your eyes and make you blind. If you want to see the Sun safely, ask an adult to show you how to project its image onto a sheet of paper. Is it true the Sun has spots? Yes, the Sun is not the same color all over. Some areas of its surface are darker. These spots are little pockets that are slightly cooler. Of course, sunspots are only little compared to the Sun. Some grow to be as large as the Jupiter, the biggest planet in the solar system. When does the Sun go out? When there is a total eclipse. This happens when the Moon's path takes it between the Earth and the Sun, and the Moon casts a shadow across the surface of the Earth. What does Mercury look like? Planet Mercury looks very like our Moon. It's about the same size and it's covered in craters where bits of space rock have crash-landed on its surface. The biggest crater is the Calories Basin, which is about 1,300 kilometers across. Mercury also has huge plains, rolling hills, deep gorges, chasms, and cliffs. Is it true? Mercury is the smallest planet? No, Mercury is only about a third the size of the Earth. But Pluto is even smaller. If you could put them on the scales, it would take 21 Plutos to balance 1 Mercury. Is Mercury the hottest planet? Mercury is the planet closest to the Sun, but its neighbor Venus is even hotter because it has clouds to keep in the heat. What is the weather like on Mercury? Mercury doesn't have any weather because it has no air and hardly any atmosphere. That means there are no clouds to shield the surface of the planet from the baking hot sun during the day or to keep in the heat at night. There is no wind or rain on Mercury either. Which is the fastest planet? Mercury is the fastest planet. Mercury zooms around the Sun in just 88 days at an incredible speed of 173,000 kilometers per hour. that makes it faster than any space rocket ever invented. When is a star not a star? When it's a planet. Venus is sometimes called the evening star because it's so bright it's one of the first points of light we see shining as it gets dark. Planets don't make their own light, they reflect the sun's light. Is it true Venus is bigger than the Earth? No, Venus is a fraction smaller than the Earth, but not by much. Venus is about 12,104 kilometers across, whereas Earth is about 650 kilometers wider. Venus' mass is about 4/5 of the Earth. How can a day be longer than a year? A day is the amount of time a planet takes to spin on its axis, and a year is the time it takes to travel around the Sun. Venus spins on its axis very slowly, but orbits the Sun more quickly than Earth. A day on Venus lasts 243 Earth days, but a year is only 225 Earth days. How Venus got its name? Venus is named after a goddess. Venus was the name of the Roman goddess of love and beauty, just right for the planet, which many people think is the most beautiful object in the sky. What is special about our planet? As far as we know, Earth is the only planet in the solar system that has life. As well as warmth from the sun, the other main ingredient for life is liquid water. Earth has plenty of water. In total, it covers about 3/4 of the planet's surface. Is it true there was life on Earth from the start? No. When Earth first formed, it was extremely hot and there was no oxygen. Over millions of years, the planet cooled, oceans formed, and oxygen was made. The first life on Earth appeared about 3 million years ago. What does Earth look like from space? It looks beautiful, blue with swirling white clouds. Astronauts in space spend most of their free time gazing at it. They can even make out cities when they are lit up at night with twinkling lights. Do you know our Earth is a magnet? The Earth is magnetic. At the center of the Earth is a core of a molten metal called iron, which makes our planet like a giant magnet. This is what pulls the needle on a compass towards the magnetic North Pole. Why does our sky go dark at night? Like all planets, the Earth is spinning as it orbits the Sun. When your part of the planet is facing away from the Sun, its light is blocked out. At the same time, it is daytime for people on the opposite side of the Earth. Why does the Moon change shape? It doesn't really. It's a ball shaped just like the Earth. But as the Moon travels around the Earth, you see different amounts of its sunlit half. It seems to change gradually from a crescent to a disk and back again. Why does the Moon have so many craters? Because it has been pelted by so many space rocks and has no atmosphere to protect it. One of the biggest craters, called Bailey, is nearly 300 kilometers across. You can make out some of the craters using a good pair of binoculars. What is the dark side of the Moon? It's the part of the Moon that we can never see from Earth. The Moon takes the same time to orbit the Earth as it does to spin once. This means the same side of the Moon always faces away from the Earth. Do Moon has gravity? You can jump higher on the Moon. The Moon's gravity is much weaker than Earth's. This means you would only weigh about 1/6 of your Earth weight there, and you should be able to jump 6 times higher. Is it true there are seas on the Moon? Yes and no. There are dark, rocky plains and craters called Maria, Latin for seas, but they don't contain water. The first astronauts to visit the moon landed on the Sea of Tranquility. Does Mars have ice at its poles? Yes. Its south pole is mostly dry ice, which is frozen carbon dioxide gas. At the north pole, there are many frozen water, mixed with the frozen carbon dioxide. There may be frozen water underground on Mars too. Which is the red planet? Mars was named after the Roman god of war because of its blood red color. The planet looks rusty red because its surface is covered with iron-rich soil and rock. There are no seas on Mars and it is very cold. Is it true? There is life on Mars? No, or at least there is no sure sign of any. But long ago, Mars had flowing rivers of water, so there could have been life once, but there may be fossils buried underground. Do you know about Mars moons? Mars' two tiny moons, Deimos and Phobos, are not round like our moon. They look more like baked potatoes. They might have been asteroids that Mars captured with its gravity. Do Mars have volcanoes? There is a record-breaking volcano on Mars. Olympus Mons is about 600 kilometers across and towers over 25 kilometers high. It is the solar system's biggest volcano. Long ago, it spurted out runny rivers of black lava. Which is the biggest planet? Jupiter is so big that all the other planets in the solar system could fit inside it. If it was any bigger, it might become too hot in the middle, start to glow, and turn into another sun. Is it true? Jupiter's stripy? Yes, the planet looks like it's wearing a giant pair of pajamas because of its bands of cloud. They are made of frozen crystals of water, ammonia, and other chemicals. What is Jupiter made of? Jupiter is one of the planets known as the gas giants. About 90% of it's made of gases called hydrogen and helium. At the center of Jupiter is a small rocky core about as big as the Earth. What is the size of the red spot in the Jupiter? You could fit two Earths inside the Great Red Spot, which is about 40,000 kilometers across. Where is the storm that never stops? Violent winds whip up storms all over the planet Jupiter, but the Great Red Spot is the largest. It has been raging away for over 300 years. Which world has most volcanoes? Jupiter's closest moon, Io, is orange and yellow. Because of the sulfur from all its active volcanoes, if you could survive the intense heat, you would realize that Io smells of rotten eggs. Which moon is bigger than a planet? Jupiter's moon Ganymede is the largest moon in the solar system. At 5,276 kilometers across, it is bigger than Mercury. Another of Jupiter's moons, Callisto, is a similar size to Mercury. Which moon might have life? Jupiter's moon, Europa, is covered by a thick crust of ice. The ice looks smooth, like frozen water. But it also has a lot of cracks. Scientists think there is a liquid ocean beneath the ice, and where there is water, there might be life. Is it true? Jupiter only has 4 moons. No. Galileo discovered the 4 biggest, Callisto, Ganymede, Europa, and Io, in 1610. Since then, astronomers have discovered 13 smaller moons as well, making a total of 17. Do you know the size of Saturn? It is the solar system's second largest planet after Jupiter. Its rings are 270,000 kilometers across, about twice the width of the planet. Are Saturn's rings solid? No. They look solid, but they are made up of millions of chunks of ice and rocks. The smallest chunk are about the size of a golf ball, while the biggest are about a kilometer wide. Do Saturn's rings have names? Not really, but scientists have given each ring a letter so that they know which one they are talking about. There are 7 main rings, of which the 3 brightest are A, B, and C. How many moons does Saturn have? Saturn has at least 18 moons, but there may be more. The biggest is Titan, the second largest moon in the solar system. Titan is covered by clouds, so we can't see its surface. Is it true Saturn is light enough to float? Yes, Saturn is made up of liquid and gas with a small rocky center. It is so light that there was an ocean big enough, the planet would float on it like a boat. Which planet was found by accident? Uranus was discovered in 1781. The man who found it, William Herschel, was not expecting to find a planet at all. He thought he was pointing his homemade telescope at a distant star. How many moons does Uranus have? Uranus has at least 17 moons, but there could be more to discover. They are all named after the characters from English literature. The main ones are Oberon, Titania, Umbriel, Ariel, and Miranda. Ophelia and Cordelia are the closest. Why does Uranus have warmer poles than the equator? The poles on Uranus are warmer than the equator. Because Uranus is tilted on its side, the poles are the warmest on the planet. Summer at the South Pole lasts 42 years. Why is Uranus blue? The bluish green is the color of methane, a stinky gas that makes up part of Uranus' atmosphere. The other gases in the air are hydrogen and helium, the gas we use to fill party balloons. Is it true Uranus was nearly called George? Yes, when Herschel discovered the new planet, he wanted to name it after the English king at the time, George III. In the end, it was called Uranus after the Greek god of the sky. Which planet is pulling Uranus? Astronomers knew that Neptune must be there before they saw it. They could tell something big was pulling Uranus, and they were able to predict exactly where Neptune was, almost 4.5 billion kilometers away from the Sun. What's the weather like on Neptune? Very, very windy. Winds rip across the planet all the time, much faster than any winds on the Earth. There are also a lot of storms on Neptune which show up as dark spots. This means Neptune's appearance is constantly changing. What is the temperature in Triton? Triton is one of the coldest places ever recorded. The temperature on the ice-covered moon is minus 236 degrees Celsius. That's just 37 Celsius away from being the lowest possible temperature in the entire universe. Is it true Triton is Neptune's only moon? No. Neptune has 7 other moons, but Triton and Nereid are the main ones. Triton is the biggest. It is 2,706 kilometers across, about 4/5 the size of a moon. Where would you find pink snow? When the gas nitrogen freezes, it looks like pink snow. There is frozen nitrogen at Neptune's north and south poles and at the poles of largest moon Triton. So from the Sun, Neptune and its moon are bitterly cold places. Which is the coldest planet? Pluto is the coldest planet of all, which is not surprising because it is usually the farthest from the Sun. Inside, it is made up of ice and rock, and the planet has a thick layer of ice over the top. Is it true? Pluto was named after a cartoon dog? No. Pluto was the name of the Greek god of the underworld. Also, the first two letters of Pluto, P and L, are the initials of Percival Lowell, who first predicted a planet beyond Neptune. Who found Pluto's moon? An American called Jim Christie discovered Pluto's moon in 1978. He called it Charon, which was his wife's name and also the name of the man who ferried people to the underworld in ancient Greek mythology. Is Pluto always farthest from the Sun? Pluto is so far away from the Sun that it takes 248 years just to orbit it once. But Pluto's orbit is a funny shape. For 20 years of its orbit, Pluto dips in closer to the Sun than Neptune. When this happens, Neptune is the farthest planet in the solar system. What is the size of Pluto? Pluto is smaller than a country. Pluto is a tiny planet, the smallest in the solar system. At 2,360 kilometers across, it is smaller than USA or Russia. Are there snowballs in space? Yes. Comets are balls of ice and rock. They go whizzing through the solar system, leaving behind a glowing tail of gas. As a comet gets closer to the Sun, it gets hotter and its tail becomes longer. Some comets even grow a second tail. In the past, the arrival of a comet was thought to be a magical event. Can we see the comets that we have seen before? We can tell when comets will come back. Some comets follow a regular course, so we know exactly when we will next see them. Halley's comet will next fly past the Earth in 2061. Are there any other planets? There are a lot of minor planets known as asteroids in our solar system. About 3,500 of these lumps of space rock are orbiting the Sun. Is it true asteroids weigh the same as the Earth? No. Even if all the asteroids in the solar system were lumped together, the Earth would still weigh more than 1,000 times as much.